Greetings, Pixel people. Welcome to the very first pilot episode of your favorite pixel art and game dev podcast, PixFix. How do I know it's your favorite? It's because I can see the future, and I foresee a great show ahead of us today because we have the esteemed, unstoppable, irredeemable, half man, half animal. It's Weasel. Weasel, tell the people what's up, man.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for joining.
And of course, we have the majestic best guest that we have ever had on the show. It is Ambivorous. Ambivorous, how's it going?
How's it? How's it? Thank you very much for that great intro. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And of course, we have me, the most handsome artist to have ever walked on the planet. I am Yaomon, also known as Kyle's son. Unfortunately, Kurt could not be with us here today because he's off wrangling a Weavile problem. So we will have to do without him. So without further ado, we are going to move on to our very first topic of the day, and that is going to be discussing the guest. So, Ambivorous, if you were a Pokemon and the Pokédex on the show had to read out a description of you, what would it read? Give the people a general idea of what it means to be you.
Okay, well, I guess first of all it would pick up the Bulbasaur before it picked me up, but I am a programmer,
Nice.
and I do art and pixel art. I got into digital art, and I want to make video games. That's about it. Yeah, so so I'm gonna try and make more pixel art and draw more until I can do that.
Cool,
And I like
cool,
green,
cool.
by the way.
So, how'd you get started? Is this what you've always wanted to do ever since you burst out of the womb?
Jeez. Okay. Right. So, no. When I burst out of the womb, well, okay, a little bit after that, I wanted to be a vet for a little while. But after I got slightly older, and realized that being a vet isn't the greatest thing, I wanted to make video games. So that definitely happened when I was very young. But I actually only got into programming when I was 18, which is when I'd actually tried to start making video games, but it turns out it's a lot harder than you think. And you
And
Yeah.
you're doing programming as your day job right now, right?
no. So obviously got into it and learned how to program, and then decided that I'm going to get better by working underneath people who are good, obviously. So just been working jobs where try get into a job where I'm as junior as possible, so I can just suck the knowledge out of all the other programmers around. Yeah.
Yeah, suck the programmers. All right. So, are you working on you're working on anything right now? As of the current time, are you have any big games in the works?
So sadly, Swagger is kind of still somewhere in my mind, constantly working on. But I mean, at least I'm busy.
So what's that about for the people that's not in the know?
Oh, in the know. Okay. Well, so that is you are the son of what is essentially like this god's like best priest, and you decide one day that you want to go out and learn magic from this like crazy wizard who lives in the forest, and you go meet him. He starts teaching you magic, and then you slowly find out that the god that you believe in and that your father is the best priest for is super evil. And then the rest of that will just be how you overthrow the god, really, long and short of it.
That's always how it goes.
Yeah, basically, long and short.
Wait, so it's just like a platformer or a
so it's going to be fighting game, but
that's
platformer. So heavily focused on combos and stuff, but obviously still side-scrolling platformer. So be a lot of using your environment to fight kind of thing. Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's on delay right now.
Yeah, that's definitely on delay. But on the bright side, I'm busy making the very dumbed down version of that right now, which has got a way better storyline, and that's that you're Jackie Chan with sunglasses or an eye
Right.
patch, and you've come to Ninja Island to just beat up ninjas for no reason.
Well, that's good.
Also,
Always,
also
always
side-scrolling beat 'em up. I mean, it's more you can ask for, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
good.
also a great segue to go into our screen share overlay hype.
Ah,
Then
no.
people can also
Oh,
see
man.
all our faces and what you're actually working on right now.
This is why
Okay.
we have. This is where we have Weasel to handle the masterful production.
Ah. Oh my
Hats off
gosh,
to
I
him.
need to actually switch on the enemies, man. You can't do this to me. Okay, whatever. That's good enough. Which one of these?
All right. So then, in terms of your art, how do you come up with a subject on what to draw when you're just sketching around? What are your
Oh.
inspirations, or do you just draw what you want to draw, or do you have stuff you specifically are practicing day to day?
Yeah, so actually, every day I do practice. Mostly I just draw girls and then some kind of background environment scene picture, which is because I suck at them mostly. But coming up with themes for drawing, generally just some random idea and then roll with it for, until I get bored, really.
All right, that sounds pretty good. So, how'd you come up with your name then?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so obviously went through a couple names previously that were subpar and don't need to be mentioned because we're all young and have silly usernames. But I wanted to have a username that would be unique throughout the whole of the internet, at least most of it, so that I wouldn't have to change every single time I went to a new website. So I took the word, the prefix ambi from ambivalent, ambidextrous, that kind of thing, and vorous, which is just carnivorous, omnivorous, another one herbivorous, and just put them together. It was that easy. Not that exciting, but at least it is unique.
Got any comments, Weasel?
Well, just that the prefix ambi just makes it pretty obvious to go for a nickname like Bambi, which is pretty common to use for you.
Yes, good point. It very quickly divulged into Bambi.
Yeah, and you embrace it, so that's good.
I do. No, it's good. Yeah, no, it's I was a fan of Scrubs, and that main character is also nicknamed Bambi, so can't be that bad.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if that's all that's being said, we could well, if there's no other questions for Ambivorous, we could go on a very short discussion about what he's drawing here on the screen, and
I could give you a little bit more history, actually, just talking about how I even got into making art. Obviously, wanting to make video games.
Right.
I would.
So is there like a natural desire? Is there like a reason you want to make video games, or just video games are cool?
Video games are cool, but it's obviously I'm fairly creative, and I want to at least push my ideas on other people in a fun way. And video games are also cool, and there are a lot of video games that I enjoy that I think could have been a little bit better if they'd balanced it better or something. Which of course balancing hard, but you're always under the impression that you could do something better, so might as well try. But so surprisingly, the game that actually got me into pixel art though was Maple Story. I don't know if you guys remember that game.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I don't know how many hours or years you lost of your life to that, but had an adorable look and feel to it, great aesthetic, and it really made me want to just do pixel art as opposed to any other form, because obviously they were already 3D games art and stuff, and I sort of obviously remember playing the NES when I was younger and how amazing those games are, but MapleStory already did their job. So that's why I decided I'm going to do pixel art. That's how I found Pixelation.
By the way,
well, lots of
pixelation.org for everything, everyone who doesn't know. It's the pixel art resource for everyone who's learning pixel art.
Yes.
Other than this podcast, of course.
Yeah,
right. This is the resource. That's the second resource. But
yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Yes.
So you say you started programming at 18. I assume you started doing the art before that?
No.
Oh, really? It's after.
Yeah, no, I only got into, when was MapleStory, what's that like? Oh, I don't remember which years I was playing it, but it was probably when I was, I don't know, around 23 or something, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. I might have found it earlier than that, but I wasn't doing it often enough. Yeah, I think about that long. But the programming was definitely a lot younger than that. But I was doing the programming already. And actually, yeah, got into that though because of someone else who was actually doing pixel art in hindsight. But that somehow it hadn't clicked yet.
So what engine do you work in when you're developing your game, or what framework, or language?
Cool. Okay, so I used to be a massive fan of C++, but I'm not going to be making any video games that require me to have to do the amount of things that C++ gives you an advantage over the other languages. These days I just use C#, which is mainly because I have a friend who I make games with who is a massive fan of C#. So it's obviously easier. His favorite language, I'm fine with it. So use C#, and then when I work with games with him, we use SharpDX because he's like a Microsoft fanboy. And when I make my own games, I use OpenTK, which is just like a little framework for
OpenGL wrapper, basically.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. Because you have to write all the engines and stuff yourself. You can't use a game maker. That's boring for a programmer. We like to waste as much time as possible.
Yeah, that's right. Is it true? Come on, man. I use game maker. Why you gotta do me like that? Ain't the guy use game maker?
Can use game maker. It's like logically the best decision. Rather than writing your own engine.
For assuming you're a programmer, I assume you're pretty logical here. I feel like there's some kind of correlation.
But sometimes you just have to do things the hard way.
Right. In practice, it doesn't quite work out. I've written some quite illogical stuff that I'm not very proud of, but
yeah, no, it's
but yeah, programmer turn on. Are there a lot of people who? I feel like most people I meet start as programmers and then get into the art in terms of becoming a game developer. In terms of if you're doing both sides.
Yeah.
Do you guys find that as well, or is it just me?
Well, I know a lot of people who started out as programmers, but that also might be because I hang out, or earlier, a couple years ago, I started hanging out in game jam channels like Ludum Dare and stuff like that. And obviously most people there are programmers that are also doing some art on the side. But yeah, I guess that's the influence I was kind of into.
Yeah, everyone's programmers into art.
Yeah, sure. Well, on Pixelation, which the nice part is that there are quite a few artists who, like Norris, for example.
Yeah.
I think Ryumaru, I don't know. There are a couple of them, definitely artists first. I don't even know if they do program, but
yeah, I'm artists first as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. So artists first, and there's no way the programmers would have gotten good at art if it weren't for you guys. So just a big up to you guys. Just while we were there, because I learned so much on pixelation mod art. It's just ridiculous. Just from the art guys who were helping me, just telling me what to
Yeah.
do,
And
give
what
me
not to
advice.
do.
And what not
Yeah,
to do. Yeah.
that's probably more important. Learn what not to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was in your stream the other day. Actually, I was watching you draw this little island piece, and I saw you start with a big blob of pixels, and you start blocking it in after. So can you walk us through your process of drawing something? You know, do you like do like a little outline first, or a little sketch or something in your head, or do you just start whacking away at the screen and hope something comes up?
Okay. So what I do, so I think that you're talking about. I just might as well get this on the screen. Talking about, oopsie, this thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what I did for that actually, I just knew that I wanted to have some kind of islands in the background, and so I went onto the internet, which is the best place to go when you need to find out things. Just Google some islands. I think Weasel actually helped me and gave me a link to some islands as well, and found these. They're from Thailand, I think. They look really cool. So first what I do is find a bunch of pictures, pick the ones that I think look coolest, or the ones that best portray the sort of thing I'm trying to go for. Then I start by doing studies of that island. So I like draw it. I don't know if but yeah, I drew some pictures of the islands, not inside pixel art. And then once I had an idea and had drawn a few, I actually took to the canvas in pixel art. Do the massive blobs first, just like the entire giant structure in one color, and then start filling in the value first. And then I start getting the colors. And then I sort of get to this sort of blobby stage, and I go over it again to get the colors right, make sure values are correct and stuff, and then move on to polishing, which hasn't happened yet on this piece, though, you can tell. But usually, yeah, end up polishing later. Yeah.
Cool. I feel like a lot of people go with the whole block out the colors first. Do you do the same for your characters? Because I know a lot of people do like a different environment and characters, but characters are usually smaller, reminding more detail.
Yeah. So I actually used to do backgrounds and people characters with outlines. That was before I started doing the thumbnail studies and my like whole value study effort. But after I'd done a bunch of studies, I was so used to trying to looking at my references, copying the large blocks of color first before fine tuning them. So that sort of just became my way of drawing afterwards. And now I hardly ever use, well, I never use outlines anymore. For construction of people, I sometimes still do the skeleton, at least a rough skeleton, just because it's easier with a little wireframe guy. And then you sort of fill out the flesh and the colors and whatever. Yeah, but it's mostly blobs.
All right. So then, going back into the game development, so what made you want to do pixel art over, I don't know, some other form of art or even 3D? Because there's a lot of, different ways to make art for games.
Yep, no, this is true. So as I said, MapleStory, I thought was just massively good at the way they did pixel art. I also had this perception that 3D would be a significantly larger amount of work. I think in hindsight, I got that mixed up. Like, just got that wrong. Little did I know. Yeah, so, but I think, yeah, like, the influence of the NES and stuff, the prettiness of the pixels, and once you start Googling to try and find places where you can do pixel art, and you see how pretty the stuff is that people can make, you very quickly just, fall in love, and you're like, well, I have to do it this way now. Like, there's no other choice. Yeah.
Well, any comments, Weasel? Don't want to, leave you out of this.
Well, putting me on the spot right here.
You could just say no comment. We'll move on to the next question.
Yeah, no comment.
All right. Well, yeah, no comment. Let's do one more question here. Well, what would you say is the best and worst thing about your own art? Because self-reflection very important in our line of work here.
Oh, okay. I'm very I don't feel terribly imaginative when I start doing work. All my first drafts of everything generally suck and are boring. And then only when I go back to rework it a few times, then it starts getting really interesting, and I start enjoying the designs I've come up with, and yeah, they start becoming more characterized. So I think actually that was my strength, is my ability to make shitty, boring stuff better. Now that I think about it.
Oh, like this podcast. That's perfect.
Which is from the editing, because I did a lot of edits when I was learning pixel art. I almost mostly did edits. So it was like you take someone else's work that's like half done or noticeably missing some key things, and you make it better. So I think that's why I do it that way.
Yeah. Do you ever do an edit just to like for the sake of improvement? Like you see someone's work and you're like, I can use that to improve. It would be nice to help him out as well, but at the same time.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
It was always twofold. It was, I'm going to help this guy because I think he's got potential, and I think he just needs to be pushed a bit. At the same time, this is going to be very good for me. Like, I'm going to learn more from this because you would make those mistakes. You've either made the mistakes, you're going to make those mistakes again. And if you fixed it once, you'll be like, okay, cool. Either you're going to fix yours or you won't make the mistake again, hopefully. It is definitely, there's both of these things. There's help them, help me.
Also a good practice to get out of your comfort zone as well, because some people are doing stuff that you never even considered doing.
Yeah,
when you do an edit on that, you actually encounter some problems you didn't even think of before, and that's also quite interesting, and you can learn a lot in that practice.
Definitely. So edit. Go out and edit. Not too much
edit.
though.
Yeah. Go to pixelation.org and edit all the things.
I love doing edits there. When there's like something that I feel like, oh man, I could just edit the shit out of this.
Yeah, sometimes you do get really inspired.
Yeah, I get really into it. Sometimes I just want to just submit the edit as my own work. And then just fuck, I spent like 4 hours on this. It doesn't even look anything like the original anymore. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, like the infamous Excalibur edit you did I don't know, a year ago. So that was just the great.
I don't even remember that. Oh man.
What?
Bring it up. Come on.
Yeah.
We have the technology.
I think I have
bring
it
up. All right. I think I might have it somewhere. Hang on. But while we're trying to search it up, let's come up with a nice easy question. Why don't we plug all your information here right now? Actually, where do the people? Where can they find you, Ambivorous? Where do you stream? Where's your Twitter? Where's your commission websites? All that stuff.
Okay, I need to get a commission website.
I'll just ignore that part then.
I do have a Twitter, but I don't use it. I stream at Picato. It's just Ambivorous. That's my username, so you can just find me there. And my deviant art is also just Ambivorous. This is why I have the username, to make my life easy. Basically, just Google Ambivorous, and I think anything related to... Actually, maybe don't do that. You never know. I think even Facebook might be Ambivorous. I have no idea. It's crazy. But... yeah, mostly DA in the streaming, I think. And obviously Pixelation. Oh, and Pixel Joint.
And Pixel Joint, very important.
Also, Ambivorous.
Assuming this is the image that you were talking about, I'll post in the chat. Here's a question for you from CFK or CF Caligula. What are your favorite 16 color palettes? I'm not sure that's a legit question or not.
Well, favorite 16 color palette is on 16 color palette here, obviously. I mean, I praise like, oh, he's a massive influence on all my art. I should probably point this out. It's just like everything On does. I don't know how to pronounce his name. his
You
username?
could just
His name.
spell it out. How about that?
It's what, Arne?
Right, Arne, whatever.
Yeah, exactly, right. I have no idea.
Arnie, also known as Android Arts. He's an amazing guy.
Yes,
He does
I know
a
that.
lot of interesting, cool concepts and spin-offs of, well, concept spin-offs of existing games like Mario and Zelda and all the Mega Mans and all that kind of stuff. I'll link the homepage of this guy as well, because he has some interesting tutorials on art and pixel art as well that are not the traditional kind of tutorials you would expect, but more like the conceptual process of doing pixel art, which is, in my opinion, more helpful than just this is how you do a tree.
Yeah. No, that guy
Cool.
knows what he's doing, and he's very inspirational.
So, if there's no further concerns, we will go to a quick break, and then we will come back with an exciting discussion on the digital versus the physical medium. But it'll probably devolve into some random shit talking about crap. So
That's
be
exactly
sure to
what I
stay
want.
tuned. Be sure to stay tuned for that. It's very, very exciting.
Cool, thanks.
So yeah, we will go on break, and we'll come back in a few minutes. And welcome back. I hope you had an exciting break. Us three certainly did. We had a very exciting things to talk about. But now we have even more exciting things to talk about when we're going into the differences between a digital and a physical medium, and what that has what that implies for art specifically. So we're gonna dive right into it by starting off with our guest, Ambivorous. You are on the hot seat. What are your thoughts on the topic here?
Okay, well, so I think that having digital art as a medium, I can distribute it through DeviantArt or any other medium on the internet, just as sold copies. So I definitely have a larger market doing digital art than I do doing physical art. That's it. I mean, you can sell your physical art on DA, but then you're gonna have to ship it if it's someone far away. I live in South Africa. It's pretty remote. I think I'm better off trying to sell art that's digital, at least, on that one.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Is that the key advantage here?
Oh, well,
Any
there's quite.
disadvantages?
I definitely think of a lot of disadvantages. Yeah. So while at the same time that I can sell more of these, if I was doing oil paintings and I made a nice, I don't know, whatever, A1 painting in oil paintings, that thing would sell for at least 3 small children. Oh, hey, Weasel, I can't see our faces, eh?
Yeah. I just realized, bing.
That's very sweet that they want to see our faces. That's good. I feel quite
Better than the
flattered.
other way around.
No,
to
it's
be
not
honest.
unexpected. You can't blame him, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, if he's like, no, we can see your faces. Please put it away now. Then we know we're worried.
Put us in our place.
Yeah. Don't know where you're supposed to go. Oh, hey, John. Yeah, sorry, we're talking Weasel.
What? Yeah. What?
All right, let's get this back on track here.
Good
Talk about
idea.
advantages and disadvantages of physical and digital. I'm not sure where you were going with that, but
Oh, well, I was saying that you're going oil paintings definitely sell. Like, if you're going to sell one, an oil painting is going to sell for significantly more. You're also probably going to get a lot more recognition in certain circles because digital art can be seen as easier. Plus, it's less exclusive, and I think people generally have some big bugbear about that. At least some people do.
maybe it's the future, you know. Maybe it's evolving.
No, exactly. I agree. I think, fuck yeah, go digital art. I don't even know why.
I feel like a lot of physical mediums are becoming more niche every day, you know. And it's not like back in the day where art was like a big thing, where like we had monarchs and kings requesting art. I think today, like oil paintings are more like like a personal thing. Some rich dude just requests it for like an anniversary present or something.
Yeah, nowadays it's like huge architectural buildings and skyscrapers, or even statues, stuff like that. I don't know if you've seen that in China they built I think a 60-meter big statue for the War of God. That is fucking impressive, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I don't know.
Sculpture is always my
Hey.
favorite form of physical art.
At that point, it
Sculpture's
was
definitely-
also probably done by more than one artist.
Yeah, probably. I'm not sure one guy made that a giant statue. He could be, you know, I'm not assuming anything.
Yeah, Nick, don't take away credit where credit's due, eh?
Yeah, come on. Like one guy worked hard. Alright. Well, if you have no other thoughts on the topic, we can move
Oh,
on.
I definitely have a lot. I was hoping you guys had some opinions on.
All right,
the
yeah,
subject.
we'll move on to Weasel, and we'll sort of circle back around here. Weasel,
Yeah.
take us away here. What are your let's probe into your mind a bit. Go
Well,
around.
I don't know. I don't have a concrete thought on this topic, other than maybe, I don't know. While physical art is, well, in terms of like the example was old paintings, right? Of course, there's a certain exclusivity, but there's also a really small amount of painters that are even recognized as really good painters, even though there are a lot of guys and girls that are really good at doing actual paintings in a really nice way. But I don't know if it's just fame or if it's I don't know, vitamin B or something. It's I don't know. That's just another thought I had for that.
Yeah, there's definitely well, I mean, I don't think even if you are that good, you will get as much recognition nowadays. Like, say we brought back one of the Michelangelo. Let's say we brought Michelangelo back from the Renaissance, revived him here, but no one knew who he was, right? Do you
Yeah.
think he will get as much recognition as he did back then nowadays? He just started
I don't-
painting.
I don't think so.
Yeah, see, we could have the next Michelangelo nowadays, but you know,
It's a good point. Could be.
we'll never know it. They have to change mediums, get with the times.
Dude's doing digital now. He just works for some company at a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It's his life.
And he comes back home, uses an iPad Pro. I don't know. Michelangelo on iPad. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but then again, Michelangelo today wouldn't be as controversial with his ideas because it's all already common knowledge, largely due to his
Yeah.
Contribution back then. But
Yeah, see, we got a bit of paradox.
yeah,
Yeah.
damn.
Really, he would have made himself famous if he were around.
This is,
So yeah, I guess I'll go into
He'd
my
just be a
thoughts on it
copycat.
now. If no one
Fucking
else has
Tracer.
any major thoughts they want to get out, let's see.
I do. I just want to hear you first.
Right.
Let's go.
Hear me first. That's it. So let's see. What we're talking about Michelangelo, right? So this whole we go into the history a bit. Let's see. I believe art did first start out as patrons and a lot of commission work done by rich people, right? And then the actual physical selling of an individual artwork didn't come around till like I want to say late 18th century or maybe mid 19th. I don't remember. But and then now I think we're going back. We're going back full circle again. History is repeating itself with the patrons again, but this time it's digital. So that's interesting. I do wonder if there's actually going to be any sort of historical repeats. But yeah, I did want to touch on the big subject of intellectual property. I'm sure we all have a lot to say about this, which is one of the major disadvantages, I'd say, of digital art. I can't really think of an advantage of having your work be easily reproducible. But actually, yeah, I'm curious of what you guys think on the subject first. So I guess we'll start with Weasel this time. What are your thoughts on intellectual property here?
Oh, well, this is a difficult topic. Well, for
Yeah.
one thing, when it comes to copying your art easily, it's, well, you get a lot of exposure really quickly, really easily, right? Especially with Twitter and the likes. Like, you do a tweet, if you have a couple followers, couple guys retweet, and you instantly gain new followers, couple guys recognize your art, whatever. So that's one of the really great parts about it. When it becomes kind of bad is when someone's like, "Oh, that's an interesting piece. I wish I did that. Let's just say I did that." And well, then there's just all kinds of awful going on because it's really
Yeah.
hard to prove who is actually the original owner of the art piece because you don't have the original, right? Well, you have a file on your computer with a certain timestamp, but that can be doctored and whatnot. So
Yeah.
the question of ownership is really going to be quite difficult.
Yeah, it's
And,
definitely very.
and I think that's like made even sorry, I think that's made it significantly worse the less well known you are. If you don't have a Twitter account and you're not spinning art, and you even if you do
Yeah.
make good art, someone just takes it, and they could have a whole bunch of followers on Twitter, and they're just like, hey, look at this thing I did, and then they've been
Yeah.
copying you for the past 20 years. They look amazing. Who knew? Yeah, then you're definitely going to be upset with life.
Yeah,
Well, I
and
guess you
Yeah.
won't, because you won't
and then
know.
you
But
come around, say it's your piece, and he has it on his Twitter account for like 1 or 2 years, and well, proofs
And
on
suddenly
his
you're
side.
the thief, right? You're the
yeah,
bad guy here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
copying
I'm
certainly
this
just
famous
disconcerting.
artist.
that's definitely one of my irrational fears is like someone like taking my art and then like going on some forum website I never heard of that like I can't speak the language of or anything and just posting all my
Oh
art and
yeah,
claiming it as theirs.
oh,
And
that's a
I'm
good point.
pretty sure something like that's happening to one of us among our community. But we'll never know about it or something, right? Because
Yeah.
well, have you guys have any personal experiences with some problems with art thievery? I'm gonna sugarcoat it.
I certainly don't. Yeah, not that I know of, anyways.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't know. I've seen something I've done be have someone else say that it's theirs on a website before, which
Yeah, call them out, kick them
I
out.
didn't know. I was just like, oh, that's kind of douche of you, and then carried on with my life because I couldn't be bothered.
Well, you're enabling them. Come
Was
on,
it like-
This is a good point, actually. I'm the inaction of good men.
you gotta take them out.
Yeah, but I've definitely heard of some bad stuff happening on to some other guys.
If you're ever in the Slack chat, you will hear me venting about several things
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, why don't
So
you
go
fill
ahead,
us in
tell
on
us.
that?
Oh, go ahead right now. Right. Well, aside from some smaller incidences where there's just like Twitter accounts posting my stuff with no credit, which I guess they're not directly taking credit for, right? I guess it's a bit better. But
Well, they were just saying, look at this exists.
yeah, look at how cool this is. And then I see how they have like 2,000 retweets. I'm like, hang on, hold up. I scroll back to when I originally posted, it had like 30 or 40. I'm like, okay, that's a bit sad. And then I hear that all these stories about they just block people who call them out on this. So I just try to do it in kind of like a weird friendly way that doesn't really call them out. But yeah, I've had this is the weird thing. I have two clients who wanted me to draw stuff for, and they're all based off the same base of this like online Facebook game, like that's like made by like the Graw Online Avalonia people. I never heard of it until then. I always do like a bit of research on the clients, before going into it to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen. But then they do this weird thing where they pay me for my work and then they just submit it to their like I don't know where they submit it, but then they just claim it as their own as well.
What?
Which is like I don't know why they would like pay for it and then claim that it's theirs and not they're paying to get the acknowledgement or something. But the second guy especially, he was employed and he like outsourced it to me, I guess. I'm not quite sure how it worked, but then like because I was already very suspicious because the first time it happened, it was using like basically there's a lot of similarities between the second guy and the first guy where they paid me and then just took credit for all the work. And then so when the second guy came around, I was on my toes, I was looking for every single possible way that could happen. And I was right. I was talking to my brother about this. He was like, "You're just paranoid. Come on, there's no way." But then like so then I went to like the games like Avalonia Online, which is the game that it was for. See, the guy never mentioned it, but my extensive research, let me get the in on it. I was browsing, I was just stalking their forums and pages and all that. And then I eventually came across, some of the art that I did, right? Like, well, check out these cool new weapons we're releasing. And they were made by there's some name, right? It wasn't my name, so that was the problem, right? So I put on the comments page. I'm like, hey man, I made these weapons, and then yeah, and then and I got in contact with the main game developer guys, and they're like, we took care of it, don't worry. I think I got the guy fired or something. I don't remember. I just blocked him on Skype immediately, and I don't know. I don't want anything to do with him. Yeah, taking credit for it. He still owes me $100, whatever. I don't give a shit anymore. It makes me so angry. And the very first time was around, I try to settle, privately, usually first, but yeah, sometimes you just get so impatient. The first one time around, I settled it as privately as possible, but I still need to make sure to go around, make sure everyone knows that, it was my work, so I can like post on my portfolio and stuff. Because, if you don't do that, you settle it privately, but you don't, announce that you did the work, people are gonna accuse you of stealing it if you do post it. They'll be like, I saw it here first or whatever. But yeah, the first guy got quite angry at me for some reason for when he stole the work. He was like, "Oh, it was my little brother. He just wanted credit for it. Don't ruin him or whatever." I'm like, "What? Fuck you."
Oh damn! Yeah, I remember that story.
What are you
Damn.
talking about? Like, you're here stealing my work, and you have like an enormous victim complex. Like, what the fuck? Why are you the victim? You're. Oh my god. Like, sure, you paid me for the work. You don't get to pay me to say that you drew it. That doesn't make any sense. Like, that's stupid. Why would you want to do that? What if someone else is like, "Wow, you're great. Can you draw something for me?" Would you come to me to outsource it again? Like that? I don't know, man.
Maybe.
But yeah, for that second time around, I do like stupid shit, like put like one opacity pixel in the corner or like of my name or something. I like put something very like subtle so I can like prove that I did the work,
It's like an invisible watermark.
Yeah, like they'll be like, how do you know we really did it? I'll be like, go check the file right now in the top left corner. Turn off the alpha
just
channel.
show the opacity mask.
Yeah, I'll be like, bam, check that out. Super badass. But yeah, it's a super nightmare. It's just annoying to deal with. I mean, on the grand scheme of things, there's like a minority case, but it's still a headache to make sure, you retain. Because if you let one guy get out of hand with like stealing stuff, it can snowball out of control pretty quickly. So I guess it's the same reason why Nintendo is so adamant on making sure no one like does anything with their IPs. But yeah, that's just my personal experiences. I just hope I never had to deal with that stuff again. But I know the more popular a person gets, the more they have to deal with it. So I'll just mentally prepare myself in case that ever happens. I ever become popular. Yeah. Well, that's enough ranting from me. You guys have anything else to add on to this physical, digital discussion?
Yeah. So I think we'll just go back to something that is an IP quickly, because I don't want to trigger you again.
Yeah.
So obviously another thing that you can definitely do in digital a lot easier than most physical, I don't know how many, is adjustments to your artwork. Let's say I've made a head too small, let's just say hypothetically speaking. I just take my little selection tool, grab the head, drag a corner, and now my head's the right size in my image, which I definitely wouldn't be able to do.
Happened.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's never happened. I always draw perfectly the first time. I didn't even know what
the
tools
perfect head size.
Yeah, like never done that wrong. But yeah, that's not something I could do in sketches. It's just you redo the face. You repaint it, you re-sketch, you take a new piece of clay if it's a model, I don't know. But that's it's a lot easier in digital. Also, I have the undo button, which is another great thing. I feel like
glorious undo button.
The glorious undo button, which is a blessing and a curse, a nice double-edged sword. The undo button, great at sometimes ruining my great moments that I only realize after I've messed up, but it's certainly a lot more useful.
That'd be a cool feature to add, like a separate stack. Every time you undo, like all your previous changes gets put into like a different little history frame.
Okay, so
like an undo graph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recently tried to do some of this non-linear undoing in Asprite, and holy, it just messes with your brain. You're like, what do you mean when I hit undo, I'm not necessarily undoing, and then I redo, and then my brain died. I'm dead
Yeah,
now.
that might not work with a redo, honestly.
It's like, it was pretty complex. But I mean, yeah, we should probably would be cool to have more options with your undos and redos.
Maybe. We'll
Maybe.
see.
Yeah, maybe.
Goes from a double-edged sword into like a four-edged sword.
Yeah, it's just a fucking morning star now, and we're just killing people. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Any
I
other
suppose-
advantages here?
I'm wondering. I have no answer to this, but I'm really wondering if it is actually effective to learn drawing with a lot of undo and marquee tools and all the the good stuff you have in digital drawing, right? Well, you can fix errors so easily that you, I guess, never learn how to do it properly in some sense.
Yeah, I
I'm
get.
wondering
Well,
if
I
that is
mean,
actually a decent way to go into art when you're learning it.
well,
That's-
100 years into the future, right? What we look at as properly now might be not be the same as properly then. Maybe, making 100 different mistakes is the new way to do it. Maybe there's gonna be a generation of people growing up who's never known what it's like not to have these type of tools.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know, they get started with their first picture on a tablet or a computer, and maybe they can live their whole lives doing art without not having undos and stuff. Maybe that's the new properly. I don't know. Maybe
The other
does that
question
make
then
them a
would be,
worse artist? I don't.
uh,
Maybe.
does it even matter? Because everything that matters is eventually the result, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, at the end, you get a good picture. Doesn't matter how you came. I mean, unless you're stealing it, doesn't matter how you came about. If you just create a good picture, right? Because that's what I come to find in the end. Like people are here trying to define what's art and how to the proper technical process. I'm just like whatever. At the end, if it looks good, it's done. That's all that matters. Because in the end, that's all it's got to do. It's art. It looks good, right? End the story. So
Okay, so I do think that having all those tools will make you lazy. 'Cause you're less concerned about getting things the right size. But yeah, I mean, if you can fix it quickly, then things are fine. But it would be pretty great if, while you're learning at least, you did make things the right size the first time, so you don't waste a lot of extra time. 'Cause that's just going to make it harder for you to get into, doing it efficiently. Yeah, so I think what we just have to do is make a new art program that has no undo button and no resize, and we just let kids use that. It'll be great.
yeah.
Probably not the best.
At that
We're
point,
not
you
doing
can
this.
also just give them a pencil.
No, nah, must be digital. They're going to be drawing on their iPad with their iPen, their whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure people will like purposely put restraints on themselves to improve, as we see with many other things.
Yeah.
That
No,
need
I definitely do
improvement.
that.
Yeah, I do that.
In my
I-
practice, and I definitely do. I try not to use my resize button
Yeah,
or the undo button too much. I
do
just
like
makes it
limited colors palettes or like draw something like
yeah.
30 minutes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's address the chat here a bit. Let's see. Raw Betty
Well-
says kids will be drawing in 3D. Maybe. Very possible in the future.
They'll
At the
just
moment
be
where you
plugged
pull out
into
your
Matrix.
Oculus.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got my Vive
exactly.
here. Hang on, let me start my
Oh, it's
3D
Vive,
drawing.
okay.
Yeah, but that is a wait, we shouldn't say brand names. We are not affiliated with any company. If either one wants to sponsor us, we're still open for that. But yeah, that's another digital medium we haven't really addressed yet. We got like digital painting, we got like 3D sculpting, right?
Yeah, that's fairly
Um,
well. If do you consider such stuff like ZBrush as well, or are you talking about like virtual reality
Yeah.
sculpting right now?
Well, let's go with ZBrush first, because there's actually a physical, counterpart in actual sculpting. I don't think there's too
Yeah.
much of that in VR. But yeah, in terms of sculpting, I feel like that is super important in sculpting, right? Because you can't when you're painting, you can still paint over stuff. You can't really undo in sculpting. You like knock the guy's arm off and it's gone, I feel
That's so
like
true.
digital sculpting is actually gonna, I don't see too much more physical sculpting nowadays other than like from like some video game companies where they like very meticulously hand sculpted sell for like $700, $800.
Also,
But
there's
yeah,
3D printing where you can print out ZBrush made sculptures as well.
that too.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like as 3D printing improves, it might like, well, it's gonna be like photography versus pictures in terms of 3D printed sculptures versus handcrafted sculptures, right? Some people always want the human touch or whatever they're calling it
Yeah.
nowadays.
Oh,
But
wait, it's a long comment. Oh, okay.
but yeah, I feel like when 3D printing gets good enough, you might not be able to tell the difference nowadays.
I
I don't
mean, yeah, it depends on how the program, the virtual reality sculpting program or just ZBrush works.
Yeah.
If you,
Well, I mean, in VR,
Yeah.
it's not a real physical comparison. You're drawing in 3D space.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that really shitty like plastic 3D pen thing that was like on the infomercials. Well, let's talk about that medium. That's a good one to talk about. It like melts the plastic and quickly cools it. You can draw like a really shitty looking cube.
I mean,
It basically turns you into a 3D printer, I
Oh,
think.
that
Very
thing.
fast.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, but I think that's the VR equivalent of the physical VR art.
yes.
Mm,
It's still in its infancy.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
I think it's died off by now. Let's be honest.
It's infancy.
haven't
Stillborn.
seen those
I don't know
around.
what you want there. Like, we're not going for that.
Yeah, those are not very great. But yeah, no, there are physical terms of digital art, especially when it comes to pixels. Right? We're talking about this sort of perler beads, cross stitching, and those like cardboard cutouts, like layered sort of type of art things where they like take a game scene and like do the background on one layer of cardboard and then like give the sprites and then the foreground on different layers, then frame it. So what do you guys think of that? Is that a solid way to market, sell your art? Well, I mean, not even your art. A lot of people do it with other people's art. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's a huge parlor scene on Twitch even, and they do a lot of that stuff. And that's fair. It takes a lot of time, but they still just, let's say it how it is. They effectively copy other art, right?
Yeah, it's like Minecraft. When I see people post like, "Look at my Minecraft pixel," I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
Pac-Man.
mean, it's cool, but I think it's more time consuming than like actual like."
Yeah,
I don't know how
at
to
that
put
point
it.
you actually just pay the work the guy put into other than the actual
Yeah.
art that was created.
I mean, those are like a type of thing that's not. I don't think it's like because I feel like to be those you can like you have a robot do those. Let's be honest. You can have like a computer
Yeah.
program
Yeah, sure.
do it.
That's true.
I feel like to be real art, you gotta like it's something has to be like individually come from the artist, right? Something that's
Well-
a robot can't do.
I mean, if I designed some AI that drew some pictures, then technically I put time into making the AI. Just to
All right.
automate
So
my
will the
work.
AI be the artist, or will you be the artist?
I mean, that's a good question. I did give it all the rules that it needed to learn the art. So that's a very philosophical question now. But
So if
I mean,
I guess if you give birth to a child and he makes some art,
okay, so that's definitely the child's art. So I guess it's the AI's art.
I guess if we
But-
classify the child as a really advanced AI,
Yeah,
I'm not
there we
I'm not
go.
sure
So-
people are
Very advanced.
happy with that definition.
It's like a biological
also a-
computer.
Yeah, they're also a lot easier to make than AI. I'm just going to point that out. Like
well, it
more
depends on
expensive, but
how
easier to
attractive
make.
you are, really. For us, three handsome gentlemen, of course, but
Easy.
you know,
Easy.
for some
It's
less
just-
unfortunate people.
In fact, I go through measures to not make too many extra AI.
you know,
That's-
gotta keep it in check.
Yeah.
What are we talking about again? How did we come this far?
I don't know. AI making art. Something about
Right. Cross stitching. Yeah, perler.
Of course, cross stitching. Yes. So we got into the topic of babies.
Cross stitching is a bitch. It takes such a long time. It is rewarding, I have to say. I did it for quite some time. I think last year, even on my Twitch channel. And it is quite relaxing, but it takes a fuckload of time. Like I made a piece that's like this big, and I worked like 20 hours on it, and I didn't even get finished, and it was only a sprite within this area, not even the background. So it wasn't the full area, it's just maybe half of it. So it is cool to have this piece on your wall, right? And then
Yeah.
it's actually a physical thing, and it is effectively pixel art, right? If you're like a meter away from it, you cannot even tell it is like cloth and string. Well,
Yeah,
sort of,
pretty
but
cool.
you know what I mean.
You could just print it out on a piece of paper too.
Yeah, but that's still different, right?
Yeah, that's
It
different,
kind of
'cause-
has a feel like a real piece of art
Yeah, it's like
because
it's like an object,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But
And you can put it in a nice frame, and it's almost like a real painting in that sense, right?
Yeah. But like,
And
we can compare this then to things like fan art. It's not your IP at all. You literally, it's someone else's design, someone else's characters, someone else's like everything, and you're just drawing it. You could have painted it even. I mean, let's say someone paints the most amazing picture of Pac-Man that you've ever seen in the world with oil paintings because he's rich.
Only
like-
rich people do oil, of course.
Yeah, only rich people do oil, especially. And he
Yeah.
sold this Pac-Man painting, and now like what? Like, does he deserve that? Like, he knows how to paint with oils. Like, well done, but it's not his idea. So, I mean, how much does it belong to him? Like, how much is it worth that he gets to sell it? That kind of thing. You're just like-
in a world without laws, I'd say go for it. But I think right now he got sued up the ass. If he really is super famous, I don't know. It's kind of a shitty situation for everyone, since you have to have those type of rules in place for actual people with like bad intentions. But then if you don't enforce them on like good normal fine cases like these where people are making or appreciate your work and are making fan art of it, but if you don't enforce their selling of your IP, then it just gets out of hand, because then people will point to this specific case as a precedent where you didn't enforce it, and then you're just losing control of everything left and right, right? It's like that's Nintendo's whole philosophy. It's like, just don't allow anyone to take our IP for anything. Otherwise, we might just lose all of it. But obviously in practice that's not the case. You can't go by case basis. But yeah, no, I find it's best to go in a case by case basis. If someone has genuinely good intentions, they're just doing cool stuff with your IP. Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah,
But
I mean,
you can never really you can't accurately judge all of these things.
yeah, it's difficult to judge, and especially when it comes to Nintendo, they are pretty aggressive when it comes to that sort of stuff. I mean, how many fan projects of games were shut down by cease and desist by now? I think it got started probably even before the Chrono Trigger Resurrection remake. That was a 3D remake of Chrono Trigger that was, well, a little bit further in the development at least. Then recently there was at least one Pokemon game and the Super Metroid 2 remake that was actually really great looking. And it's a good right to shut these down. What I don't understand is that they just hire these guys and say, okay, here's a bunch of money, we have enough of this, just make this game really great.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we're not. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe once we get become big time developers, we'll understand why. But until then, we'll speculate. Speculate. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this type of stuff? Digital, physical, IPs, anything? The creative Pac-Man should get a portion of the money. Yeah, I don't know why they don't work out deals like that.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Nintendo, just say give us, 20% of revenue from the Metroid 2 remake? Instead they just
Well,
all
let's
right,
be
you're
real,
gone.
if it's Nintendo, it would probably more like 80.
Yeah, probably.
But
80, 90%.
even that would be preferable to shut it down completely, right?
Yeah, like now we have to like distribute it like through shady means. This is horrible for everyone.
And the weirdest part is, to come back to this real quick, is that all these remakes are actually free products. They weren't sold at all. Like,
Yeah.
there were fan projects that are just there for downloading. And, well, nope, shut it down.
And it's not like no one knows the characters. Everyone knows it's Samus, it's Metroid. Everyone knows it's Nintendo. It's not like they're gonna accredit them to the creator. Nintendo's, I think their philosophy is like, oh well, they'll play this instead of our games. I don't quite buy that, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
then the
if
argument
you
would
don't
be
you don't
make
release a
good games
2D
yourself.
yeah, like you don't
Maybe they're
release a
afraid of that.
2D Pixel Metroid for 10 years. Like what do you want me to do, huh? Of course I'm gonna play. You don't
So-
have anything for me to play.
Yeah, now that they actually
Yeah,
make
haven't
a
made it.
Pixel Metroid, it's a remake of the exact game they just shut down.
Yeah,
Well, then that makes sense, I guess.
they
So,
love their
guy-
Metroid remakes.
Guys, I know exactly what happens if you don't police the stuff well, alright? So let's just take a look at 50 Shades of Grey. This is what
Right.
happens
Of course.
when you let fan fiction / fiction
The
go
case
too
study.
far.
50
Okay?
Shades of Grey. Of course, yeah. See, this is what we gotta keep it. We don't want any like Mario. Well, we already have Mario and Sonic weird fan arts.
Oh god, let's
Out
not get
there.
into this.
We
Hey,
don't
what
want
do we-
14-year-old girls buying books about
Come on,
it, okay?
come on. So let's put some examples on the stream here to show people.
They will shut
What
our Twitch
No.
down instantly.
Show them what happens.
I tried to stay away
I
from this
get out of control.
most of my life, and I aim to keep it that way.
Oh,
The stories I heard are not that great.
Nintendo can't control. All right, no one can control. If people want there to be inappropriate content of it, it's gonna happen.
Yes, no, this is true.
Yeah, it's Rule 34.
Roll thing.
Right. Well, if there's any other thoughts on the topic, throw them out here. Anything?
Jeez, I'll think about it blank. I think.
Right? All right. Well, if that's the case, we'll just move on to if anyone has any questions to chat, go ahead and throw them out. But if not, while that's happening, we'll just go ahead and do some plugs once again. I guess Ambivorous, go ahead and repeat what you said once again for the people so they really get it in their memory. So yeah,
Or actually type it in their browser bar.
Okay, hold
Yeah.
on. What am I typing?
your
not you.
contact info.
Or your fans, obviously.
Yeah.
You're just telling them where to find you.
Again,
Oh,
you know. Second time.
So like, geez, now I actually need to get links. What are my links to my things? Okay, let's
Well, while
give it a
that's
moment.
happening, Weasel, you can do your links because everyone needs to know where to find the most handsome rodent human hybrid in the world.
In the world.
Well, you can put it like that. Yeah, sure. You can find me at twitter.com/megaweasel. That's mega WEEZL, and as well, it's the same name on Twitch, twitch.tv/megaweasel. And I think that's it. That's enough, right? What
I mean,
else?
you can plug
I do
wherever
have
you
a
want.
YouTube channel, but I don't use it. I haven't used it for quite a while, and I don't think I will in the near future. So there's really no use to follow me there.
Yeah. But I'm sure you guys want, you can find them there and follow them anyway. So just
Yeah. Do it against
Yeah,
as well.
It's
Be fun that way.
Mega Weasel as well, but without the two E's, just Mega WZL. If you're interested in that kind of nonsense that I have up there.
Cool. So my DeviantArt is just ambivorous.deviantart.com, and my Picato stream is just picato.tv.ambivorous. Just post that. I can't post it because I don't have an account. Who knew? Never mind.
Wait,
But
what was it? Picardo.tv/ambiverse.
yeah, and it's
Get that right.
Ambivorous on Pixelation and on Pixel Joint as well.
Yeah, just Google his name. You'll find him.
Yeah, just Google Ambivorous.
He's
You'll
super
get it.
famous.
Like
Everyone
famous
knows him. Yeah.
Yeah, there's very few people who even know who I am not.
Yeah, it's easier. It's
Something.
easier to count the people who don't know him. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's way easy.
anyway. So yeah, as for me, you can find me. Well, I will plug my DeviantArt, but I don't use it. But I think I am Yaomon 17. Some sites have the 17, some I don't. But yeah, I'm Yaomon 17 on DeviantArt. I'm Yaomon. I'm at Yaomon KS on Twitter. I changed that, so you can follow me there. You can just remember Yao, YAO, and the monks, like Buddhist monks. Maybe that's important. Yeah, follow me on Twitter. That's where I post most of my stuff. My website is kyosun.net, KYOESUN.net, because .com is very expensive, and I'm not quite famous enough to pay for
Wow.
that yet.
Come on, man. Nearly.
So, yeah, I got Twitter. I got my website. I post Tumblr, but I don't post on that either. So, and of course, be sure to follow this channel. Of course, I will be here every
which
other
you're
week.
already doing. But if you're watching on YouTube, it's twitch.tv/pix_fix, twitter.com/PixFixTV without any special characters. Because it's the internet and every name possible is taken at some platform or another.
Right. So you guys have any shout outs you want to do to anyone? Weasel, start with you. Any shout outs?
I shout out to everyone who's watching, everyone that's not watching, and my mom and dad as well.
Right. Of course. Ambivorous, anyone?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to people that aren't watching, like that are related to me, but mostly, you guys, thanks, thanks for the show. It's pretty cool. You and Paul Coker is not here, but he's in the chat. And of course, these guys who are the CFK. He's always on the stream, having nice chats. It's good. I like fans like this. These are good.
Right. Well, for me, of course, I want to shout out you two for being on the show with me. It's been a lovely experience, absolutely. I want to shout out all the viewers. Thank you very much for watching, and all the future viewers who are going to watch, which will be everyone, of course. And let's see. I want to shout out Pixelation, of course, a wonderful forum for all your pixel art learning needs, pixelation.org. Shout out Crow because he hates me, and
You're just shouting him out so he implements all the features he has on his to-do list, right?
Yeah, come on, Crow.
Yeah, Jesus.
You should just quit your job, work on it full time for no pay.
I'm sad about the fact that he even has a job.
But also shout out to our good friend Kirk Barnett for not being with us here today.
It's definitely a lot better, I think.
Wow. All right, come on. Feels bad, man. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for me. So that's for me signing now. And if you two have anything else to say, go ahead and take it away. Otherwise, yeah.
I'm good, man.
Yeah, no, shut. Thanks.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching.
Goodbye.